Hi, welcome back to Hexus. We are here at i46 in Telford, and I'm joined by Craig, who is the Managing Director of Multiplay.
Hiya.
Craig, it's great to have you on the show. This is your doing, so to speak.
Yes, it's for my sins against humanity. I've been building these events up many years. I worked out the other day that I'd done my first LAN party nearly 19 years ago. So it's a long time. Back then it was a lot harder to do than it is these days, in terms of the networking side at least.
This show is just keeps on going. It gets bigger and bigger. You've moved location. You used to be in Newbury.
Yep.
About a year ago, you moved to Telford.
Yes.
Why the move?
Well, Newbury was our spiritual home. We'd been there for the best part of a decade on and off. We went to Stoneleigh and came back as well. But Newbury was great. But there's only so many places you can infest with computers and network cabling and events. And simply, we outgrew the venue. We loved it to bits. We got on well with the team. Our punters really loved it. But ultimately, for the i-Series to move on, we had to take it to a newer, bigger location to expand. And case in point here, we couldn't fit half of this in Newbury, and so it's been well worth the move.
Okay, so it was a necessity basically.
Yes.
But how has it worked for you? How are you liking Multiplay in Telford?
Telford is great. It's more central. It certainly has a lot more amenities very close to the venue for the people. Dead easy to get to, literally a few minutes off the M54, so ideal for everyone around the UK. People used to complain that Newbury was a little bit too far south. So like if you were coming down from Edinburgh, you had like a 7-hour drive. Here, that's probably only a 3-hour drive, so it's nice and equidistant for everyone. I think we worked out there's somewhere 70 or 80% of the UK population within a 2.5-hour drive. So that's ideal for this sort of event. The only place probably better would be the NEC.
Okay, well it's ideal for me. I'm half an hour away, so
there you go.
So stick to Telford. Now, numbers don't seem to have dwindled. It seems to be as popular as ever, which seems to defy what else is happening in the industry, with the recession and what have you, and PC gaming. A lot of people seem to think that PC gaming's on the decline. But
the number of times I hear this, I mean, there's something called lies, damn lies, and statistics. Yes, and everything's got to be in context. The number of times you've seen people going, "Oh, retail is dying." Well, and the problem is they missed out that bit. That word, retail, is dying for PC, and it is in terms of the shelf space and this, that, and the other. But what they missed was this iceberg of digital downloads. I can't remember the last time I bought a box game. Most of the people here probably can't remember the last time they bought a box game that wasn't a collector's edition where you wanted to get the items in the box. Everything's digital, and it's a huge industry.
Yeah, well, walking around the show floor, we've seen a few Xboxes, we've seen a few PlayStations, but we've seen hundreds of PCs.
Oh, yes.
It rules the roost here. Now, looking ahead, do you think it's going to stay PC focused, or do you see the consoles?
There's a transition. I mean, we were always a PC focused show, but we've certainly in the last number of years, we've had consoles since the original Xbox premiered at one of our shows. Xbox 360 was seen first in the UK at one of our shows. I mean, when you look at the ownership of platforms of these guys, I mean, most of them own 3 or more different like proper gaming devices. Yeah, it's 99% all own a PC because it's a PC show, but now like a third own Xbox 360, another third own PlayStation 3, and that's growing. But what we also do is a lot more of our esports tournaments are Xbox focused. We're probably going to have around 400 Xbox participants just enter the tournaments, and they don't even bring their kit. They just turn up and we've got it provided. So there's a real growing component of console at these shows, and we want to certainly grow that. I mean, it's much more wholesome. It's the whole industry rather than just. I mean, the UK is much more of a console-focused industry. You look at Germany; it's all PC, but here it's Xbox. So we want to grow the appeal of the events and get more people involved.
Okay, you mentioned esports there.
Yes.
I remember coming to this event many years ago in Newbury.
A little projector with a hanging bit of cloth and all this and the other.
Generally speaking, it was just friends getting together to play games. But a lot of these now would consider themselves professionals. They do it for a career.
It's very serious. We're talking to some of the major media agencies behind sort of the rise of things like darts and snooker, and they see esports as the next one of those. Like, it's very, very embryonic still, even with the big money and all the live streaming. I mean, that's the key thing that sets it apart. I mean, people go, "Oh, but there's only sort of 5,000 to 10,000 people at your show." It's like, yeah, but 2.5 million watch what goes on online, just on the live streams. So that's tiny figures compared to what some of the big US esports guys. I mean, like, it's bigger than the Super Bowl potentially on some of the viewerships in the States. And that's really been a gravity shift in the last few years when the accessibility of live streaming went mainstream. Like, there were services that made it easy to do, made it cheap, well, free basically. That's it, everyone's streaming and everyone's getting used to consuming it. And so, I mean, there's more people, I think, watch StarCraft than play it.
Well, the stats are amazing. I mean, the streaming numbers are astronomical. But this question is probably going to annoy some parents who might be watching.
Yep.
Do you see gaming as a viable career? Some of these gamers seem to think that this is what they're going to do for a living.
Yeah,
do you think that's an option?
the same could have been said about some of the other sports. I mean, people like say gaming really isn't sport, sat down, but if you see the amount of training and how well they have to do it, and the reflexes involved, the rehearsal of the teams to be working together as a cohesive unit, as it were, is up there with many other team-based sports. And certainly, if darts and snooker and things like that can be a sport, I think we can say gaming can be a sport as well. But to answer your question, absolutely, there are people who just commentate on games earning well into six-figure salaries, and those are often players who've gone through. In fact, I think all the top ones I can name are all ex-players who've gone on to commentate. And the same is true for gamers. Yes, there's not going to be always have your options open. I would never say, yeah, just go into gaming, there's loads of stuff. I say, no, get your university sorted, get your degree, gaming's a good hobby, but then see where you can go from there.
Okay, it's also interesting to see how this event has evolved.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was just gamers, but coming here today, there are a lot of big name exhibitors here.
Oh, yeah.
Scan
Absolutely.
PC has a booth that's almost as big as the booth at the Gadget Show.
Yep.
How important are those exhibitors?
They became much more important over the years. I mean, we had our biggest exhibition ever is probably still our August 2008 event at Stoney Park, which was August 2008, right before that fateful few months of when the world decided to implode on itself, and with the heyday of marketing budgets. So we actually dropped off quite a lot in consumer and commercial revenue, and sort of went back to Newbury, circled the wagons, focused on our core audience, making sure those guys were sorted. We never saw a drop-off in consumer numbers at all throughout the recession, or the downturn, whatever they call it these days. But now this is a classic example here of how things are coming back, and how these guys and these events are very important to companies. I mean, if you want to get your products in the key influences, hate to use the marketing buzzword, but they are here. These are the guys upgrading their PCs every 6 months. These are guys buying the very latest graphics cards, the very latest PCs, spending hundreds of pounds a month on computer games like League of Legends and similar ones that are pay to play. So absolutely, these are very important shows if you want to get noticed.
Yeah.
And how do you reach these people?
Yeah, that's the challenge. I mean, back in the day, it seemed as though the exhibitors were an add-on, but now they seem to be an integral part of the experience.
It used to be a couple of developers rocking up with a trestle table and saying, come talk to us, guys. Now it's very much an expo, and that's a key part of it. I mean, we call ourselves a festival more than a LAN party now, because you've got a massive sea of tents next door, you've got 24-hour gaming, you've got a lot of social activity, you've got a costume contest tonight. So there's a bit of Comic-Con, there's a bit of Eurogamer Expo, there's a bit of Gadget Show, and then there's the core of it is still like a massive multiplayer LAN, both for PCs and consoles.
Okay, so this is i46. This is running this weekend.
Yes.
For people who don't know the event that well, talk us through the calendar. When are we going to see other Insomnia events?
We have 3 evenly spaced big shows, the Insomnia shows, 3 times a year. There's one, this is the biggest one, the one in August. We have one in end of November, and then we have another one in March next year, so about 4 months in between. And each one has a different feel to it. This one is just all out, everything is exploding. November is much more about esports. It's still a very important exhibition focus, but it seems to be the esports event. It's also a critical date in the calendar for publishers, right before, literally it's November the 30th it starts, so ideal for publishers. And then March is almost as big as this show, but that tends to be an all-round show, the sort of Easter show, as it were. Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to push them in scope as well as scale. So yeah, we can just keep adding numbers of PCs, numbers of consoles. We want to see much more of this going on at these shows. I mean, it's ideal for them.
Brilliant. Okay, great. Well, it's been fantastic to talk to you.
Coming.
Thanks very much. And this is i46. If you are serious about your gaming, you want to get yourself down to this show.